Hello, everyone. Good evening, and thank you for joining us tonight. We have a very interesting conversation coming up about parenting and how the pandemic experience transformed and is transforming parenting. So we have with us from joining directly from France, Anthony, and Nancy from the UAE. So let me just take some time to introduce Anthony, who is father of two, Romeo and Lorenzo, 9 and 10-year-old, I'm sure brilliant and very smart guys. And Anthony is also very familiar with brain-based coaching and is a neurolanguage coach as well as the founder of Crackerjack Coaching. So, Anthony, the floor is yours. What do you want to tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm very happy to be here to have this conversation with you and share some of the discussions that have been going on with people I've been coaching and other parents like me who has been trying to support their children through this uncertainty era of their lives. And so I'm just, looking forward to a conversation with everyone.
Great. Thanks, Anthony. Nancy is working at the Emirates School establishments in the UAE. And right now having a little bit of echo here. So Nancy has joined us for a Wednesday talk previously. That was very informative. Still remember it. The slides up and very interesting. If you haven't seen it, go to YouTube and check it out. And she's joining us today again. Nancy, I think you have a close experience of talking to parents, discussing lots of things with parents as you are working in schools and you're working with teachers, lots of principals as well. So even though you and me, we are not parents yet, we still have this kind of experience and connection. So what is it that you would like to tell us about yourself? Oh, just unmute yourself, please, Nancy, because otherwise we won't hear you.
Is it unmuted now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So it'll be really exciting because, as you said, I'm working with schools. So it'll be really exciting to talk about what the children are having some issues and how we deal with them, not just as parents, as a school community. So it'll be a really lovely discussion and see the point of views of parents and how can we work together to have mentally stable or mentally healthy children.
It feels like lots of things to talk about. So I noticed that also there are some people who joined in. So we would like to know about you. Are you parents out there listening to us? Do you have kids? And let us know. We would love to know who is in the audience and who is listening to us. We have one more guest who is going to join very soon, Christiana. So until she's joining, I will tell you that she has 4 kids, and they are Juliet, Emma, Zoe, and Fatma. Juliet and Emma, they are both teenagers, 16 and 17. Zoe and Fatma, they are 2-year-old, lovely girls. I've seen them. And Christiana is an intercultural coach. And we cannot see you yet, Christiana, so come on back.
Joined through the link on Facebook. I think she joined through the link on Facebook.
Yes, so just come back to the studio so we can have you here with us. You were here a few minutes ago. So Martin, you have 3 kids. How old are your kids? And probably you already have grandkids as well. I think. Martin is one of our amazing supporters and listeners, and an amazing coach, the founder of Coaching for Educators. If you're a teacher, definitely do check out the initiative. There is a lot for you over there on the platform. And I'm adding back Christiana to the stream while Martin is responding. So, Christiana, I did introduce you a little bit. What is it that you want to tell us about yourself?
Yes.
What is it you would like to tell us about yourself?
Yes, thank you for the question. So you already introduced myself. I keep hearing your questions, Beatrix.
Okay. There might be a little bit of delay in the streaming. So if you heard it once, just go ahead, answer it, and I will take it a little bit slower.
Okay, so I'm an intercultural coach, as you correctly said. Being in Dubai, I think that this is something really important to now I can hear my voice, so it's a little bit confusing now. Okay.
It might be something on your end because we are all muted. So let's see. Everybody listening to us, it worked perfectly well. And then we joined and we started the live. So give it another try and see what happens.
I think we lost her again.
Okay, so I'm just bring it in from Martin that he hasn't coached his children. I think there's 3 grown-up kids, not since they told me not to. So I'm curious to hear how others have coached their children, if they have done so. We'll definitely get to it and get to this topic, coaching our kids, especially if we are coaches. But in the meantime, we have something kind of interesting that came up in the conversation while we were preparing for this Wednesday talk. And yes, hello, Mira. And do say hi to us, everybody else, if you're here. And let us know your questions, because we are all here for you. So we definitely don't want to dominate the stage. We want to hear from you, and hopefully we can be of service. So let us know your experience, and also let us know your questions, your thoughts, your opinion, all of them. So welcome back, Christiana.
Yeah, thank you. Hopefully this time it will work.
Yes, works like magic.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
Okay. So I was just about to introduce what came up as a topic we all wanted to talk about, is the mental health of our kids, of the kids around us, younger kids, older kids. It was a very different and very difficult and challenging period in the last 2 years. Very different from what we are used to. Schools going online, teachers are not really sure how to respond. Institutionally, everybody was finding, companies and schools and universities, colleges, everybody were trying just to find a way how to cope with the challenges. And kind of mental health just popped up as one of those things that started to become more and more important as we were advancing in the pandemics, one singular. So
Hopefully.
what was your experience when you could see the symptoms of and the need for mental health and talking about it and raising awareness of it among parents, among kids? When did you start noticing it?
To be honest, when you kept hearing in the news about the effects of the pandemic in terms of medical, let's say, outcomes, so casualties and people getting sick and everything, I try to imagine how much the pandemic would have an effect or let's say a result on mental health, not only of kids. So the more we heard about the medical results, I was really, really concerned about the mental health of kids, because as we were discussing before, and I can give a very close to my heart example of my daughter being a professional soccer player before the pandemic, and then when the pandemic set off, basically. So all the matches, all the trainings even were stopped and cancelled. And my daughter tried to, again, exercise a little bit in the backyard. And thank God we do have a backyard. But all of a sudden she started just leaving the ball and lost her passion for what had been her number one hobby for the last, 7 years, okay? And that was really, really worrying, because if a pandemic can do this to a child, how much will it take for a parent and for the child itself to basically refall in love with the same passion, or even more, find a new passion. So luckily, in my case, my daughter was able to listen to a lot of videos and everything. So she got into music, and then she really expressed herself in music during the pandemic months. But a lot of kids, I heard other mothers saying that, got stuck, and they couldn't play football, they couldn't see their friends, and so they didn't know how to reinvent themselves. And so I think that we parents, whether we are coach or not, we kind of played the coach role a little bit, voluntarily or involuntarily, because we really needed to pay attention to any discomfort or any struggle that they were going through, and help them through, with asking questions and making sure that we were not judgmental, whether they were not doing really well in school, whether they were having downtime, or also whether they lost, the willingness, the passion, and they became a little bit lazy because the pandemic did that to them. So I think that we really needed, and we still need, I think, to really pay attention to the mental health of our kids, because we have been through a lot, but they have been through a lot more, because these are the years where you form your personality, you forge your identity, you choose your friends and everything. And imagine all that canceled for nearly a year. That must have a very important impact on yourself as a child, as a teenager. Mm. Not sure whether you guys want to comment further, or people on listening to us have a similar maybe experience to share or something to say about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christiana. Nancy, I can see you talking, so I ask you to unmute yourself. And let me also just bring up these comments from Gina, saying and resonating so much with what you said, Christiana, about the challenges that mothers are facing, particularly as caregivers during COVID. So if we have mothers in the audience, please do let us know what systems did you put in place during the pandemic, and what worked for you. And Nancy,
and what we've seen in schools, like even now, children coming back to schools, restrictions are lifting off, but they're coming back with not like the same back routine that they're used to, but it's not the same at the same time, because they're coming back with different experiences. So sometimes you see they do not know how to deal or cope again with the social intricacies of schools again. They no longer know how to sit inside the classroom for long periods of time. They used to be online, like going, coming. If they want to go have some drink or some food, they can, because it's been almost 2 years now when they've been learning online. And it's not the same. Even if they're going back to schools now, it's still not the same as it used to be 2 or 1 year and a half ago, because now there's still social distancing. There's still, it's now in UAE, it's hybrid, so it's not all the kids inside the classroom. Half of them are there, the half comes next week. And then you have to wear the mask all the time. The recess is still inside the classroom. There's still no activities like the sport activities are not back yet. So even now when we're coming back, it's still not as fully as it used to be. So you still see miss when we're gonna go to trips, when we're gonna go and have a sport event, when we kind go to the gym. So it's very important even for the school to be aware how to deal or help these children to deal with these situations and to cope with the whole situation until everything is lifted off. So I'm not sure when we'll be back to normal, but at least as normal as much as possible.
Very much so, and a lot of things over there. And there is a comment from Angela just saying that another perspective on this, when parents as coaches are also in this situation, not only the schools and the teachers and those other people working in the school, but there are also parents experiencing this and their perspective on it. So I'm wondering, Anthony, what is the difference it made for you using coaching skills and having the knowledge of coaching to communication, to building trust, bringing empathy? How did it help you as a parent throughout the pandemic? And the reason for me asking that also, just to call attention to this quote from Angela, that she had a session that worked well, but something that she learned from that session, even though it was successful with her daughter, I think, she would always ask permission before putting the coaching hat on. So what was it that you were learning? What is it that you were benefiting from being somebody who is knowledgeable also how the brain operates, how to use coaching skills, and also being a father of two?
Yeah, good question. Thank you. Well, there's a lot. I think it's just really the basics of the awareness, and being able to check in from time to time with your kids, I think is important. I can pick up what Christina gives emphasis to about the parents and knowing when to kind of stop. I think also when you need to perhaps stop what you're doing because you don't know the level of that impact of what they're doing and that passion. And just talking about my boys, they liked playing Legos and things like this. Very hands-on, very passionate about certain things. And when they were stopped their interest, it was very difficult because they're a bit younger, 9 and 10, but they like spending hours of doing that. And it's a bit different here in France as well. When people started going to the window at 8 o'clock every night, applauding for the healthcare workers. I mean, we had to have those real conversations then. We were kind of able to scoot around it a bit and just kind of check in and see what they understand, or we'll watch the television a little bit when they were out of the rooms. But when that happened, to explain it, and then you kind of start to think about the connections that you need to make for them at a level that's appropriate. So now we're in a place where people are a little bit more open in France. But however, there's I think the parent dynamic where some people are more hesitant to get out there and other parents, and that kind of leaps into what Nancy was talking about, they having the mask, but you have different messages being transmitted within the schools in each household. So that's creating another dynamic where my kid needs to know why he has to do this outside when others are not. So explaining and this sense of obligation to, really hope that they're clear about, what is going on and just checking in.
So important. And it seems it was present in everything that you all said, to have this very personal connection and the regular check-in and asking them the questions about how they are experiencing, how they are feeling about it. Gina would be interested in learning more about what shifted in your parenting skills as a result of COVID. So what did you do differently to engage your children? Hi, Gian, and thank you for joining us.
I
So
think,
this is a question.
yeah, if I can answer
Absolutely.
based on my experience, basically, what shifted really was to be able to pause and listen more. And understand the situation. If my child would have been lazy before all of this pandemic started, I would really be probably a little bit more pushy and say, I don't want to hear this, this is what you need to do, end of story, a little bit more like this is what needs to be done. But afterwards, I try to listen to why, for example, my daughter didn't want to do something, because the reason why she didn't want to do something was completely different than before. And so I, as a mother, in that specific time, I needed really to understand what was going on in the mind of my daughter, not wanting to do that activity. So not just because she was lazy, but maybe because she was afraid of doing something, or she was not sure about herself anymore. Her confidence had gone. And so, I really needed to pause and put on my coach hat, and then put away the parenting one, because the parenting one would have been pre-COVID, would have been, you just need to do it. I'm sorry, but this time you need really to listen more and understand deeply what was troubling her and why she didn't want to do it. So I think that, I don't know if I answer your question, Gina, but this is a little bit how my skill had to shift during pandemic.
Yeah, I totally can agree with that same statement of just kind of listening. And one of my kids is very much wants to do everything, wants to do love homework, love all of this kind of stuff. But when he was like, "Oh, I'm tired," and he pushed himself, and I had to say, "Okay, that's enough. We can take a break today, and you can finish tomorrow." He didn't want to, so it's just kind of this pull where they want to be as performant, but they were also, this was exhausting being in the house. And unfortunately, I don't have a backyard, so we were in an apartment. So trying to say, okay, this kid isn't just laying on the bed and he's usually playing the Legos. Okay, I need to assess like what I've achieved so far today, and I have to accept that this is as far as I can go, because he needs me now to be present and just to sit with them. And sometimes it wasn't a discussion, just sitting and leaning, and you have a little bit of regression where he's kind of wants to be held, and you think, wow, okay, what's going on today? So just kind of, really listening to that and saying, I've got to turn off and I have to just cancel everything, shut everything down for today. And that shifted. But I think as going forward, it's kind of built a relationship on another level, and I think that they know that they can come and they are our priority, and I think that's changed in a good way. They always knew that, but they know now they can walk into the room and I'm in a meeting. I'll say, okay, you're right. Okay, I'm gonna have to end this call and we can pick it up, and so that gave them a sense of power, and I think that brought some of the confidence back, because they were searching for their place in this world between what was needing to be done at home for work and for homework. So yeah, that was a bit shift for me, just to kind of be more aware of what the needs are at present.
That's what the most positive feedback we received like about pandemic is that parents now see the kids more. They have more quality time with them, either like at dinner or playing some games and being present. And we're like, I wish that sometimes we stayed at least working online, so at least they will have more time with their kids. But I think is, as you guys said, like being mindful as a parent and having like a nourishing environment, at the same time structure and routine for kids that we create will help to de-stress the kids, have a safe environment to talk to because parents are there to have like a safe environment for kids to talk, express, deal with their anxieties, their fears, Because if they know I can go back home to a safe environment, they will feel better anywhere in the society.
Yeah. I like what you were saying, especially, and this is something that Martin echoes as well, that on reflection, being a coach really helped me to be a better parent, he says. And what I can hear from you is that different level in the relationship. Sounds like this whole thing is a blessing in disguise. To be more present, to give that power back to the kids, to be there for them. I heard so many nice things here, and living it, not just talking about it, but really makes the difference. And how you mentioned, Nancy, to be there, to create a safe environment, to be there where they can be vulnerable. I really, really loved many of those things you mentioned. And
Yeah, I can echo what you're saying, that it is a blessing, or it was a blessing for some in a way, but it also really brought down the self-defense mechanism in some older kids, for example. So my daughter, for the last 2 years, the oldest one, she's going to university next year, and before the pandemic, she was, I want to go here, I want to go there, I want to be on my own, basically. During the pandemic, she developed this sense of probably a little bit of fear. So now she's even contemplating staying in Dubai to study because she's with the family, because she hasn't been outside with her friends or out anyway and about meeting new people and everything for a long time. And so she's been with us all the time, no matter how boring that is. This was their reality. But now it really shaped her mind in a way that's saying, maybe it's better that I stay close to my family, but beforehand, this was the last thing on her mind. I want to go as far away as possible and be independent from my family. But now things have shifted in her mind for us in a way to a better level where she really wants to stay close, So I don't know, there is a little bit of lack of confidence, and at the same time wanted to be safe, to feel safe, to feel safe within the family situation, So yeah, that I don't know. I will tell you maybe in a year if that is good or bad, positive or negative. But I feel that there is again the reverse of the coin,
Yeah, that's kind of like, I'm a business lecturer in a college here in Paris, and I teach master human resource management. And then I started teaching some bachelors now, and some of them from other countries, and they were here alone. They have their first birthday. They arrived during the pandemic when it started. So I found myself, offering my service to coach them, to help them through, and, cheer them for a birthday. They were alone, and they were able to leave their apartment, and then we kind of started trying to have eventually 1 week a month. one day a week, sorry, that they come into class just to get them out. But some of them still didn't want to get out, and they weren't able. You're in a new country, and just imagine the mental health issues around that. So they weren't quite taking care of themselves. And I spent a lot of hours just trying to encourage them and support them. But you understood that some of them wanted to leave, but they were afraid, like their parents were afraid they won't be able to finish their education. There was a lot of different mental issues going on there. But the idea of having a coach, to someone to support, to get them to think about what future and what tools they can use now to help them to think about what they can do and what they do have. But also just, having that support was very important. And I think of quite a few of us in higher education that we've had students. That's been another, you have your own kids, but then they become your kids as well, right away. They become my kids right away. So you just mean everything to me that I, supported them through that, so.
Thanks, Anthony. I would like to hear about Nancy. And before that, I will just bring up this comment from Gian, saying that dealing with kids during pandemic has also lowered the egos of adults. So it's something that you also mentioned, that all of a sudden we realized how important empathy is, and how important it is for us to be compassionate with ourselves and also be compassionate with others, with the kids around us, with the people around us. So we do agree with you, Gian, absolutely. And Gina, thank you for being so active and asking us lots of interesting questions. There is a question that you were asking Nancy, so I'm going to ask her. What specific measures did you take to nurture and support your students' well-being?
Yes.
Tell us about it, Nancy.
We had, like, what we did in some of our schools is have a well-being activity or a class for like every week. So it was really good to have, like, what I did with my students is just have a Padlet, a well-being Padlet. Where either they want to, have their name on or just anonymous, and they just talk about the issues they're facing. And we just have like an open discussion, questions and answer. What do you think about this? How do you feel? How can we, deal with this? If some other kid, have the same issue, how they dealt with it. Because sometimes, hearing from the peers, they can relate more than just us as adults telling them how the situation. Sometimes they think, you're adult, it's easy for you. But when they hear and see that other kids are having the same problems or the same issues or the same feelings, they're feeling anxiety, they miss their friends, they feel stuck at home. It's really good, to have that open conversation and as like a safe place where they can be them outside of just, math, science, and the academic. Because, at the end, everybody can have that certificate. But the well-being, the mental health is a priority sometimes. And I think these times that should be more priority than the academic, whatever they're going to have at the end, because they will have time to do that.
Nancy, there are people resonating with what you are saying in the audience. And Angela said, how important was it for Anthony? And I can also say, and you, opening this space for students to feel vulnerable, for students to build those kind of connections where they realize what's truly important. And there is a nice share here from Andy saying that now there is more time that he can spend together with the daughter, and they spend much more quality time together. So this kind of connection also opens the doors up to spend really good and quality time together. And we started realizing it feels how important, what truly is important, what values are, what the values are in our lives that we really want to honor. So,
but then brings us to the same what Andy was saying at the end of his comment, that sometimes it takes something very serious in life to realize that. Why is that? If you think about it, do we really have to wait until the next pandemic or the next, God forbid, war or anything like that to realize what's important in life? We're so caught up in ourselves, in our jobs, in our student life, for students, in our being kids or whatever, that we really, really forget what's valuable, what's important in life until something like this happens, Shouldn't it be the other way around, that we basically cherish every moment? And then I was really impressed by you, Anthony, when you said, I'm having a conversation and then my child comes in and now you say, oh, I have to go, So I wonder how many parents do that, because sometimes they just tell the child to go away because they're busy, So well done. I'm very impressed, because even, when you have a job, and not everybody is like you, very mindful and everything, so you have to get the job done, no matter if you have one child at home or 3 children at home that you have to homeschool. So it's also going back to the point on having and working for companies who understand the well-being of employees. So that's a good thing.
I think sorry.
Apologies, Anthony. Just really. Building on what you said and saying that it's not yet over, but what is open, there is an openness from people like Anthony, people like Nancy, people from Christiana, myself, and many people out there in the audience. If you experience loneliness, or you're feeling challenged, or you're feeling it's still not easy for you, that's normal. But do reach out. We do have and this is why I interrupted you, Anthony. We do have heart-to-heart conversations, and it's really just there as a safe space every month. We had one yesterday, today, tomorrow. We have it in different languages. If you go to coachingforeducation.com, you will find the details. You can sign up, receive the link, and it's really there on Zoom, so you can do it from the comfort of your home. And we connect you with a coach, somebody like Christiana, somebody like Anthony, qualified. They have this professional experience and knowledge to support you, and they show up and they are there to support you. And there are many initiatives like this. So please take the initiative, take the step, and reach out, because there are many people who want to help you and who want to support you. So, Anthony.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm always willing to, someone reach out to me. Of course, I'm here. So I just wanted to say, like, I try to implement this, might be helpful as a tool to others. A day of yes, and I just, I read somewhere someone did this, a yes day, and so whatever their kids want them to do, the stop and play, to do this, they just say yes. The answer is yes for everything. And those kind of days from time to time, it really makes a connection, and it's also keeps this, it reinforces that there can be a priority, and I'm here to support you. But it's a fun day, and like with my students, I would just add, during the pandemic, we're having courses online. I do dance breaks throughout. We want to get the dopamine in the brain. So dance break and the mindfulness, look out the window and just stop and say, what are you looking at? So sometimes in my training or coaching, I just ask people, look out the window, everyone, and just mention see what you're looking at. Share with us what you describe it. And getting them back centered, because we're racing what we have to do. We think about the past, the future, but just coming into the present and bringing down the stress in the brain, and we can re-engage after.
Thank you so much for that, Anthony. Can we also hear some tips from you, Nancy, and then also from Christiana?
Tips always works for me is breathing exercise, like just take a moment. And but I think what needs to be done is just have awareness, and not just for parents, for schools as well, because students spend more schools than at home. So sometimes you'll face a situation where one of the kids have an anxiety attack or a panic attack, and you find that they don't know how to deal with it. So at least, like, if teachers or administration schools get introduced to some techniques, like some breathing techniques, like the boxing method or whatever, it could help in these situations, instead of because what I've noticed, some uses not a very good technique. It just raises the anxiety instead of calming it down. So I think awareness is a big thing in schools that needs to be done.
Thank you. Thanks. Definitely. Awareness is where it all starts. Christiana?
Well, tips from my side, this is a kind of a rule a little bit in my house, but that we, no matter how busy we are or what we're doing, we have dinner together. Lunch is something else, but dinner, we always have it together, okay? And no phones are allowed. And that's a safe space to create for everybody, not only for the children, but also for ourselves, to bring to the table whatever happened during the day, our vulnerability. Look what happened today. I felt like this and everything. So we exchange emotions, and that's the only time really where everybody's present, because then one goes to study, the other one has another call, the other one goes to put the kids to bed. So it's a little bit a rushing. But that moment of the dinner, no matter what's in front of us to eat, is the moment where we basically make or create a safe space for the family to basically embrace each other and share our feelings.
So that's what my parents always did. Like we all had that one day in the week where we just sat for that one meal and we talked about things. That was really
Yeah.
good and helpful.
We also have some comments from the audience. Andy's saying that he tried the yesterday with his daughter after watching a movie, and it was great experience and fun. So everybody start it, try it, have the dance break, watch out of the window, stay present. And Karen also said that I think if parents can't say yes there and then, just letting the child know that you can't right now, but you agree a time with them when you can be wholly present with them is really helpful. So they know it's not the right time, and you ask permission from them to have it another time, and you do have that other time. You do remember having that other time. Absolutely, Karen. It does work. So we are getting to the closer to the end of this conversation, which is really so rich and insightful. Very different experiences, and at the same time, so much connection. It feels from you all. We did mention during the conversation, somewhere halfway, how this experience helped us realize what's really important. So I would like to go back a little bit to that point and see what those values are that you now focus more on, that you really bring to the foreground, thanks to the experience we are having, or we had. You choose present or past.
For me, it's family. I don't know, like now I have time every day to just talk to them. Because, because you never know, like this is what you've learned. Like we were stuck in UAE for almost 2 years, weren't able to go back home. And you hear sometimes sad stories, like someone died and they didn't get to see their father or their mother or their sister. So you feel like, okay, I need to stay connected. I need to, even like when you talk to your, parents, siblings, or friends back home, just stay even like mindful while talking to them, not just like talk while you're doing a task like I used to do. Now I try to be there for the conversation, because I know these moments now are more precious to me than it used to be. And now even like before every holiday I didn't go back, now every I get a chance I just go back, try to connect, because you never know what happens. Like this is what I've learned from this pandemic, appreciating family, friends, connecting to other people, even here in UAE, reaching out, like, because I know a lot of people, as you said, like sometimes they struggle and we never know what happens behind closed doors. So reaching out, talking, and having like open conversation really help us to, cope, and them to cope as well.
That is so nice. The idea of interdependence somehow just came up for me. Thank you, Nancy.
And for me, it's really, well, family, obviously, but really the power of communication. So the power of the dialogue that really forges a relationship. So if before, because of how busy we were, we were saying hello and goodbye because my husband was traveling, and then when he would come back, I would go. And all, now we are kind of forced, so we were forced to spend time together, but that developed into something really beautiful. So something that important is the dialogue that you have within the family members, and not only with friends as well, so, and time is the best present that you can give anybody, because you give that time and it can never go back, so it passes, and it's the best gift that you can give. So really allowing yourself to take the time to listen and to talk to a person is really the best gift out of all this pandemic.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
For myself, I would say yes, family very much so. But also like the realization and the awareness that everyone is going through this, in their own different ways, in their own different family, and making myself available by, having time for other people, strangers, saying to people who I know worked in the medical field, acknowledging their bravery, to people in the supermarket who kept things going for us, just really acknowledging them as well. And really the community I think was something that came up for me, is just sharing, connecting, and co-creating environments where we can have these, conversations, like have conversations and, feel better together, create this energy together. And, we're checking in on each other, even the person at the bakery, so that became a really important value for me and my kids also, to acknowledge and to appreciate the teachers and be supportive, because they're going through the same things or similar things as well. So that was something that really resonated with me about all of the ups and downs of this.
Very important values, and I could relate to all of them. Plus, I would add gratitude. Gratitude for every single small moment, every conversation, every smile, every challenge, for everything. And Gina joined in to say that being present in a moment and appreciating time with dear friends and family members, that really became valuable and precious to her, even more than before. We would like to hear more from the audience. What values did you emphasize more? Did you focus on more during this period? And let us know in the chat box. Let us know what those values are. Probably some of them were already mentioned, because it seems that we are deeply connected, and we do have those. I could see lots of nodding when I was listening to you, and I could also feel that I can nod and agree with you. So let's see what values were there for you that now you focus on more. So for Karen, it was kindness and gratitude. Yes. One thing that's coming up for me now is to ask you to think of, it will be a little bit off question, but bear with me. What would be a body gesture, how you would express with your body language the transformation, the transformation that happened since the pandemic started and is still happening. So if you could think of one way to express it, then what would it be? And while you are thinking, I bring up some more values from Sharon, and that's empathy and sharing as values, as important values. So let's see. It's okay to, oh yes, there is one from Jan, being more carefree. Oh, I would be curious to know more about that. And be happy, or the importance of happy moments. Thank you, Angela. For you, it was the value of respecting the boundaries for your children. They need alone time and the need of reflecting time. Yeah. And to give that time for them, to be aware that they need that time. And we also need that time ourselves. Absolutely. Great values. And what I'm really thankful for, that we are noticing those values now more, and we are paying attention to it. So there is no reverse going back to ground zero, but we can go on and we can build on it. We can strengthen that muscle. strengthen a value every single day.
Yeah.
And now we know how important it is. We have been challenged, so now we know. And
Hopefully.
yes, and it's going to be much better because
Yeah.
we are changing, and we are changing for the good. So Gian is saying we have seen much worse days before pandemics. Oh, absolutely, that's also true. And understanding that everyone deals with things differently. Yes, Andy, that's where the empathy came in, and that's where those examples that you all mentioned comes in. When we were really opening the doors to see how everybody's feeling. And Gina said, open eyes, treating each event as a new experience. That was really something, because maybe we didn't have anything else. We just had that experience. So we developed this to look at it and to appreciate it, just like a new experience. Yes, Gina. Sami is saying every situation is a new chance to learn and come out stronger. So yeah, this is our chance. And it does feel we are coming out stronger, even to me. And I'm curious, how it is for you. But it does feel we are coming out emotionally stronger and more resilient and more powerfully present. Yes. Noticing the small things, as how a simple good morning or how are you can make a big difference to a stranger. Yes. Angela is saying this life has reinforced the importance of giving ourselves permission to be different parents with different approaches and tips. There is no magic rule. I love that. I love that. And I can see you all agreeing. There is such a tendency of, I want to be one of those parents. There is no such thing. You are the parent who you are. And that's what we could see, the amazing examples and amazing stories you shared, Christiana and Anthony. So, yes. Let me go back to the homework and ask you. How would you
I think
transformation?
not really a body language or body gesture, but I think that the embrace, like the hug, is what the action, let's say, that I can take up. Because I don't think that we hugged each other as much as we did during the pandemic as before, even with the kids only. But just before the night or anything, and we didn't really spend that much time or care about it as much before. So for me, it's a hug.
Yeah,
Now
amazing.
children are using this, I think, as the love sign instead of
Yeah.
a blend. So this is
Yes.
the body language, or I think something they do with their fingers as well.
Well, for me, I like my oldest. He likes to do this. So I'm okay. I'm okay, you'll say. So that kind of.
Yeah.
So I know he's all right.
They should feel love.
That's a great one. If you are listening to us, what is the body language, how you would express your transformation? That was happening or has been or is still happening in your life. So Andy is saying eye contact, as he feels this really shows you are giving your full attention. Yes, and eye contact, interestingly enough, I could see a lot in what you brought up, the body language, but also eye contact. We were restricted to the eyes only because of the mask. So we had the experience of paying more attention to eyes and to seeing from different perspectives. So that's really a great one, Andy. Yes. Yeah, really great. What is the body language, everybody else? I won't enforce it any longer, but thank you for sharing. And I would also like to say thank you for joining and spending this 1 hour in sharing your experience, in sharing your stories, because it's really through the stories how we can truly connect with each other. And I'm sure many people who are listening to it now or who will listen to it later on, they will benefit from the stories that you shared and from the great initiatives that you are implementing in your life. There is a lot to learn from you. And I do appreciate that you do come, show up, and you do share this with everybody. There is a nice, very sweet comment from Larry Love. Even though we are grandparents, we still benefit from all of that you have said. Please do, and do help us spread the message. Let us help more and more people. We do enjoy this. We do enjoy helping others and sharing and supporting. That's why we are here, and that's what we want to continue. So thank you so much, Larry. Absolutely, with pleasure. And one more thing I really appreciated in all of you, and I would like to acknowledge you for that, is a very, very honest and humble approach to presenting your ideas and to share your stories. I personally really relate to it a lot, and I appreciate you for this a lot. That you came up not with a big ego that now I'm going to tell everybody this is how it is, but you came up very humbly to share, this is my experience and this is how I benefited from it. This is what I learned from it. And please, everybody, find your way. Follow my way or find another. Yeah. So there was lots of freedom in your words and in the energy that you brought here to this space. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. If you liked it and you are listening to it, do come on board. Next week we have Arabic, and the topic is going to be different. And the English panel is going to be back in 2 weeks' time. If you want to know what topics are coming up, do follow the RAISE platforms or sign up for the newsletter, because we have a list of those upcoming talks. So thank you for joining, Andy, Gary, Larry, Gian, Sami, Angela, Gina, and Sharon, Karen. Thank you so much for being here. And Martin, thank you for joining. Thank you for participating so actively. We learned a lot from you all, and it was amazing to co-create this space together, with camera, without camera, in the comments. Thank you very much, and everybody have a good night. Take good care of yourself and stay present, stay aware, and stay healthy.
Thank you, Beatrix. Bye, everybody. Have a good evening.